So on this issue, let me bring in Stephen Galilee, who's the CEO of the New South Wales Minerals Council. Thanks for joining us, Stephen. Do you know whether New South Wales coal mines are going to have to purchase carbon credits or not under a Labor government?
Well, it is a bit concerning that there is this confusion and uncertainty this close to an election. The three coal mining electorates in the Hunter, they deserve a straight answer on this stuff. And there's sure there's going to be detail that will need to be worked out after the election if Labor are successful. And our industry will work with whoever forms government at state or federal level to do our share. I mean, in New South Wales, we've reduced our fugitive emissions by nearly 40% since 2005 in the coal sector, while doubling our coal output overall. So we're up for the challenge, but it's a bit hard to know what compliance is going to be required when those that are seeking to impose the rules aren't sure of those rules themselves.
But do you know whether in the next 3 years you will have to be purchasing carbon credits, the coal mining industry, or not?
Well, we just have to assume that what Chris Bowen has said clarifies the issue. But there's still 4 weeks to go, Chris, so who knows where this policy may be by the time we get to polling day.
So given what Chris Bowen says, coal mines will have to purchase carbon credits. It's just a matter of the quantum is in question, so you don't know what additional burden would be placed, what additional financial burden or carbon tax, as Matt Canavan calls it, will be placed on coal mines.
Well, I do know that there is nearly 40 facilities across New South Wales that are going to be affected, and while nearly 30 of them are coal mines, others include manufacturing facilities, infrastructure and transport facilities as well, right across the state. As for the details of the policy, I mean, those are questions for the Labor Party to answer. I'm not in the position to be able to answer those questions for them.
But surely they would have consulted with you in putting together this policy. They would have consulted with the Minerals Council, surely.
Well, I know that they've consulted with the Business Council of Australia because I saw Chris Bowen reference that in his comments today, but I would very strongly urge the Labor Party, if they are successful, to consult more broadly than the Business Council of Australia on these sorts of issues. I would hope that they've also spoken to the Minerals Council of Australia at the national level, but it would be a good idea for them to potentially speak directly to the companies that are going to be affected, because not all of these companies that operate these coal mines across New South Wales and Queensland are members of the Business Council of Australia, and some of them aren't members of the Minerals Council of Australia. So speaking to the peak bodies are fine, but you're probably going to have some difficult conversations with the companies themselves. There are 8,000 coal mining workers in the electorate of Hunter alone. They and their families will potentially decide the outcome of that type contest. And in the adjacent coal mining electorates of Paterson and Shortland, there are several thousands more coal mining workers and their families, and thousands of coal mining supplier businesses and those that work in those businesses whose votes are enough to potentially decide the outcome in those seats too. So
you've actually done some polling there, haven't you?
At some stage we're going to be consulted on this.
Yeah, well, I would have thought you'd be consulted, but you've been doing some polling, haven't you, that shows that Hunter, held by Labor, with the retiring MP Joel Fitzgibbon, that it could actually fall to the coalition in this election.
Our polling showed a few weeks ago this electorate is on a knife edge. It showed that the Nationals had their nose in front, and that probably explains why there's been so many politicians in hi-vis tromping through that electorate over the past few weeks, with no doubt more to come. But the people that live in these electorates, the coal miners and their families, they want to see more than just hi-vis happy snaps during an election campaign. They want to see real commitments of support beyond the next election. And woe betide any politician that speaks from one side of their mouth before the election, gets elected and says something different. I mean, the people in those coal mining communities have very long memories and they won't forget.